You ever move into a place thinking you bought peace, and then realize you bought a Target instead? I swear, I unpacked a box, set down a mug, and felt victory like I'd just won a tiny war. Hi, I'm Derek Copeland. I bought a secluded lakefront house to escape the city grind, 2 acres of Colorado hillside, a glassy blue lake like something from a magazine, and I thought, for once, I was done with HOA drama, with passive-aggressive lawn notes, with neighbors who judged you by your recycling bin. Yeah, I was wrong. Let me back up a sec. Picture this me, surrounded by towers of cardboard, sweat on my back, pine smell drifting in through the open windows, an espresso machine promising civilization in the wilderness. I'd left Boston, left 10 years of tech grind and commuter trains. And this house felt like exhale, like freedom with a mortgage. No HOA, no committee meetings about mailbox colors, just me, the trees, the lake, and the ridiculous idea that privacy equals immunity. I thought I'd buy solitude, plug in my espresso, and become that person who waters a herb garden and reads paperbacks on a wraparound porch. Simple life done. Then one afternoon a black SUV rolled up my gravel drive like it owned the right-of-way, window tint so dark it could hide a crime, and out stepped a woman in her 50s. White button-down, pearls, a lanyard that flashed like some kind of civic badge. She walked up my porch without a knock, looked me over like a museum curator, and said, flat as a courtroom verdict, "You can't move in here." No hello, no small talk, just that. She claimed the property was under Whisper Heights expansion, annexation pending with the county, and that I had to vacate until it was settled. I laughed at first, because the confidence in her voice was cartoonish. Checked for hidden cameras. None. I showed her the title, the plat map, the zoning confirmation. Hell, I'd framed my exemption and hung it in the guest bathroom like a joke. She didn't blink. Ownership doesn't protect you from community obligations, she said. Her name was Karen Hoffman, HOA president, queen of opinions. I told her to contact the sheriff if she felt strongly about it. She turned, heels crackling the gravel like a warning, and left. That moment, barefoot, holding half-assembled IKEA furniture, I realized I'd stepped into someone else's plan. At first it was small sabotage, quiet harassment. Lights went out at night, just for a few minutes the first time, then longer, then the outages stretched into an hour. Everything blinked. My Wi-Fi, cameras, the server rack I'd set up for remote work. It felt like someone was testing my patience. An electrician named Walt came out, poked the main breaker, cursed in a way that made me feel like I'd hired the right guy. Someone rerouted these lines, looped them through a shut-off relay, remote triggered. That word, remote, sounded like a villain's playbook. Then my water ran brown, tasted like a chemistry project gone wrong, and someone had left a laminated notice zip-tied to the external valve. Temporary disconnection due to HOA infrastructure upgrade. The notice used fake letterhead. It said Whisper Heights HOA. I drove to the municipal office. The zoning lady with librarian glasses checked and said, "No permits, no orders. That's not our logo. That's a stock vector from Shutterstock." Someone had gone to the trouble of creating the veneer of authority to cut off my utilities, as if someone wanted me to believe the accordion of bureaucracy was on their side. I started digging, and you learn a lot when you decide to stop being polite. Property records, county PDFs from 8 years ago, scanned court filings. A name popped up again and again, Richard Marlowe. He was the owner years before the guy who sold to me, a guy named Ed who flipped the place in a couple months. Marlowe had fought Whisper Heights in court, not over hedges or paint, but over forged mapping and bogus annexation, and he won hard, a permanent injunction, the judge's language sharp enough to slice the HOA's credibility. Then Marlowe sold and vanished. Lucky me, right? Lucky, but also lucky that I found him. His blog had an old post. The HOA can't tell you what color to paint your soul. I called the number, and a gravelly voice answered. When I told him Karen was back, cutting power, posting fake notices, he laughed bitterly and told me she was like a python in pearls. She didn't win legally so much as she wore you down, made life tedious until people sold. He said I was the third buyer she'd targeted. Third. I felt my stomach drop. Richard surprised me. He didn't want to relitigate, but he wanted to help. He sent encrypted files, meeting transcripts, redlined emails, community budgets with line items that didn't add up. A draft contract between Whisper Heights and a developer showing reconsolidation plans, my lot highlighted in yellow. She'd been planning this, not some spontaneous moral panic, but a long game, funnel funds, manufacture outrage, annex, flip parcels to developers. That's when the story twisted, not just Karen's bullying, but the character of the neighborhood itself changed in my head. I stopped seeing neighbors as potential allies and started seeing them as pawns, sometimes willing, sometimes coerced. I met people, Alexis with her greenhouse, the Parkers whose mailbox got ripped off, all targets outside the HOA boundary, all with similar letters and threats. We formed an email thread, Karen Survivors Network. Awkward name, we were sleep-deprived and annoyed, but we pooled documents, budgets, and witness accounts. Richard gave us his archive, and an auditor we hired dug through transactions. $900,000 routed through shell companies. Landscape upgrades on a private lot listed as future community park. Website domains registered to an LLC owned by Karen. She'd used HOA money to build herself a lakeside retreat under the guise of community beautification. That's when things stopped being petty and became criminal. But I didn't want to go straight to court, not yet. I wanted evidence Karen couldn't spin away. So I baited her, built a decoy shed. A flimsy prefab I painted the most suspicious beige I could find, planted it at the disputed line, surrounded it with half-packed buckets and fertilizer. I even stuck a fake antenna on top to make it look like I was hiding a signal. Then I put cameras everywhere, porch light, fake birdhouse, trail cams in trees, cloud backups, redundancy, the whole paranoid tech guy's dream. 3 nights later I got alerts, and watched in real time as Karen, in yoga pants and a Whisper Heights sweatshirt, slipped through the bushes, photographed the shed, jiggled the door, snatched one of my private property signs, and marked the shed's corner with pink chalk spray, classic evidence-making. She'd been trying to manufacture a violation. I had it all on file. I didn't go scorched earth immediately. I delivered the video to the county inspector, filed a criminal complaint for trespass and vandalism, sent copies to the planning board, the sheriff, even uploaded a redacted clip online. The internet did its work. A Reddit thread blossomed. Someone made a meme of Karen with a spray can. The HOA sent a lawyer letter threatening defamation. I filed it away and hit them with facts. The Marlowe ruling, the Shell LLC, the financial trail. People started paying attention. Flyers appeared overnight, Save Our Community. But the website behind it was registered to a private LLC, not the HOA. It looked grassroots but was anything but. Karen had built a PR front with polished stock photos and fake testimonials. She wasn't conserving anything, she was packaging land to sell. We went public, a transparency forum at a neutral community center. 30 people showed up, Karen's lawyer lurked in the back. We presented charts, timelines, receipts, no shouting, just evidence. A retired principal fact-checked. A software guy discovered the domain registration. The auditor produced the $900,000 trail. The tone shifted. People who'd been comfortable nodding along at HOA meetings looked embarrassed, and then angry. They realized they'd been fed a narrative, and that the real story was embezzlement and forged annexation. The local paper ran it, HOA or cartel? And for once, the narrative wasn't just one woman's version of community preservation. Karen did what bullies do when cornered. She tried to misdirect. Anonymous complaints, bogus investigations, threats, even shady certified envelopes with perfume-smudged edges. A classic intimidation move. But the more she pushed, the more people dug. Federal agents and county investigators started asking questions about wire transfers and ghost contractors. And then, quietly one morning, unmarked cars pulled up to the model home that served as the HOA office, and Karen walked out with a latte and cuffs on her wrists. No dramatic raid, just civil procedure and criminal counts, forgery, wire fraud, misuse of HOA funds, impersonation of officials. And a fun little bonus about a secondary account tied to KH Integrated Development LLC, where she'd funneled nearly $1 million. Watching her mouth, "This is outrageous," as they read charges, I won't pretend it didn't feel like justice. The HOA imploded, treasurer pleading to lesser counts, a few board members indicted. The county took the neighborhood under receivership, froze funds, and started restoring independent parcels, including mine. I rebuilt the fence, proper steel posts, motion detectors, replaced the decoy shed with a legal boat dock, paid for it with legal money, and screwed a little plaque to the post that still makes me grin. Sovereign land, no HOA beyond this point. Reporters called, a few blogs wanted the narrative, but I didn't want the spotlight, I wanted quiet. But one thing surprised me after the legal dust settled. People started knocking on my door, not with petitions or accusations, but to buy produce, to ask about launching a small farmer's market, to volunteer. The same community that Karen tried to manipulate came around, embarrassed, apologetic, curious. We turned Free Lakefront, the simple website I'd built to post evidence and timelines, into an advocacy hub, a place for stories, resources, legal templates, and a growing network of people fighting HOA overreach. Messages came in from Florida, Arizona, Pennsylvania, hundreds of stories that sounded eerily familiar. That tiny porch where I'd once dreamed of coffee and peace turned into a modest outpost for something larger than me. So here's where I close the barn door for tonight. I stand on that porch some evenings, watch the lake go glassy at dusk, and feel a strange mix of satisfaction and worry. Justice felt good, yeah, but the thing that keeps me thinking is this: when community interest meets property rights, where should the line be drawn? Is it ever okay for a neighborhood leader to push so hard for unity that they erode the very trust they claim to protect? Or are there moments when a community's safety justifies aggressive action? Tell me, which side do you lean toward, absolute property rights or community oversight? Have you ever had to stand up to a system that looked legitimate but smelled rotten underneath? Drop a comment, share your story, and if this helped you, pass it on. Let's get people talking about what community really means, because land, after all, should be for living, not for lining someone's pockets.